Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our Fairmede Hilltop Neighborhood Council meeting, and welcome to 2026. Before we get started, I was wondering if you could all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. So, before we get started, I wanted to say that I hope everybody got a newsletter. I want to thank Don for helping us out with the newsletter. He does all the editing and sends it to the city for me. I write it, and we go over it. We had hoped that our brand new chief, Chief Simmons, would be here tonight, but he's unable to make it. And then he had sent Captain Lopez, excuse me. And Captain Lopez unfortunately called me about an hour and a half ago and said his father had a stroke, so he's unable to make it. So our hearts and prayers go out for his father who had a stroke. Yeah, and I know my mother just had a stroke in December, and if you get it early enough, there's a really good chance of recovery. So luckily for us, she does what we got it early. So with that being said, perhaps we can invite our brand new beat officer, or Sergeant Ramos, up here. For those of you who don't know, I know Glenn does, that, Glenn. This is Rick Ramos, Jr. His father went to elementary school here at Fairmede Elementary with me, grew up in this area, lived on Bernard, across the street from Glenn. He's having a tough time hearing tonight. But, if you'd like to come up and give us our beat report.
Hey, good evening. So first of all, yes, from the area right here. So glad to be here. Normally I'm downtown, so this is the first time I've been assigned here. I've been a cop here for 11 years. This is my first year being a sergeant, and this is my first year with B-Day. This is B-Day, it's considered B-Day. So I know initially you guys do want to hear crime stats. And what to expect from me every time I come, I work from Monday through Thursday from 2 p.m. to 1 a.m. So anytime I'm working, I'm going to show up. I know our new initiative is to actually have a beat officer attend with me. Unfortunately today, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, there's an incident that occurred on the freeway, which our department was involved in. So right now, staffing in terms of today, they're very low. And we're still kind of dealing with that situation as we speak. With saying that, I'm gonna have an actual beat officer dedicated to come with me. I'm supervising him. Of course, you always can reach out to me. My card is available, which I will pass out. But in terms on a day-to-day basis, they definitely are going to know what's happening within the city more than me. This jurisdiction more than me. So with saying that, the beat stats for the last 2 months, which is going to be the B-Day period, there's a total of 1,500 calls. 233 of them were 911 disconnects. 186 were security checks. 104 disturbances, audible alarms, alarms from your houses normally, 93 calls, 68 traffic stops, 49 unwanted person calls, 39 suspicious persons calls, 35 welfare checks, 34 abandoned calls, and 34 call transfers. In terms of actual reports, which are normally crimes that have occurred. Just because you call the police, sometimes crimes don't happen. But these are actual reported crimes that happen within the area. It's 151 reports. 19 of them were thefts. 16 of them were stolen vehicles. 9 of them were spousal batteries. 8 of them were vandalisms. 7 were threats to commit violence. 7 were recovered stolen vehicles. 6 were mental health calls, and 4 were burglaries. that's your stats for the last 2 months. If we are looking for more particular concerns or issues, I mean, I have any questions that you guys have at this point? Yes.
On the whole, for this crime stats that you just presented us with, crime up, crime down, or is it just another average month?
It's another average month.
Okay.
So no shootings, which is good. No shot spotter activations. As you know, we have microphones kind of all around this jurisdiction, B-Day to include. When we have shot spotter, any shell casings, or anyone coming outside and discharging a firearm, we report that. In the last 2 months, we have not had that, which is good. That part is down. Other than that, it's kind of normal, nothing, no high outliers.
I know you can't tell us where the shot spotters are, but how many do we have in this beat?
Within the last 2 months?
No, I don't mean incidents, actually devices.
Oh,
Do you know?
I would say, I'll give you a guess. I would say about 40
In this beat?
in B8, yes.
Okay, that's an impressive number. I mean,
If a shot is fired within B8, we're gonna get it. A GPS, do you guys know what shot spotters are? Just raise your hand if you don't, and I can explain it. Okay. So within the city of Richmond, we have microphones placed with all areas within Richmond. Kind of, I would say, on a probably average 5-block radius, maybe. When anything sounds like someone discharging a firearm, it's reported. So rather than a citizen call us, it's actually picked up by the microphone, which they have their own kind of dispatch center, and it goes to our dispatch, who now relays us, hey, there's been a shot spotter activation in this area. That kind of gives us the clue, rather than waiting for someone, if someone is shot, or if someone on view, someone shooting, waiting for them to call us, we could already respond before that call is even made because of that shot spotter activation. Does that make sense? So sometimes it does pick up fireworks. They kind of try to weed through the firework calls, because on those type of days there's a lot of fireworks, but they're pretty good at distinguishing a firework versus a shot spotter. Previously, before coming to sergeant, I was in homicide, and they're pretty good at distinguishing what's a shot versus a firework. So I'll tell you this, yeah, anywhere within the B8 area, when there is a shot spotter, we get it. Yes?
Can the shot spotter pick up a silencer?
Yes. So, to go down there, I'm on SWAT as well. We carry called silent suppressors, is what we call them. They're definitely more loud than what you think they are. It's still, you can still hear. It's still gonna kind of hurt not having like ear protection. You're still gonna feel it. But yes, to answer your question, it will pick up suppressors. Any questions about that?
So once again, TV and movies are lying to us.
Yes, it's not like a, not at all. It does not sound like that at all. Is there any issues or concerns that we need to address now, or something that maybe our beat officers need to take care of?
I want to bring up something on the sound wall, the 80 sound wall. I don't think it's in your jurisdiction, because I have to call CHP for it. But there, I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, there was a fire over there, like the encampment, the homeless encampment off of 8 by Radius.
Like near El Patel?
Yeah, it's over there.
Yeah.
Well, whenever I get on the freeway, I'm always looking at the sound wall, because there's doors, there's access, and I've seen how it's been opened before. I know there's at least one encampment that's over there, and Lee Smith got a call the other day that there's a fire back there. There was smoke coming up. Didn't want to go into the same situation as the fire that happened over by Ravens, because that area over there is protected. When I say protected, it's a perfect place for someone to be at without anyone being able to notice it. It's been there for a while, but like I said, CHP has been notified about it. It's one of maybe two of them. I've seen someone walking on the freeway, like they're heading that way, and all besides pictures of like the door open and like mattresses that are back there. So not only that, it almost sounds like I heard power tools out there, like somebody was building something. But just wanted to let folks know about that too.
I was gonna say the perfect person's here for that, who I always extend my hand for a resource, is Michelle. She kind of knows the guidelines, because that is not our jurisdiction, but I believe.
It's not, but it's with Caltrans property, and so coincidentally, I had a meeting, the city of Richmond has a monthly meeting with Caltrans about encampments that are on their property and right of way, and so we can make a referral to them. If you see something like that, I'll report this one. You can go on the Caltrans website and they require you to do something called a CSR, which is a community service report. That's important because that's how they track it. And then they review all the Richmond CSRs every month, and then we ask them for a status update. So I will check with them. And it doesn't have to be in Richmond. It could be anywhere on Caltrans jurisdiction. And if it's adjacent, we can ask about it.
I've had Caltrans come up before to do graffiti on our side of the wall, resident side of the wall, again, because it's a perfect area for someone to take the time and do a masterpiece.
It definitely is. It's a large area. And I live here, not too far from here. So I go by Rayleigh, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And that has the ability to spread quickly. So, you know, we can work with you to try to get on top of it.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? No? Well, before we let him go, I just wanted to plan. This is Rick Jr.
Is Frank your dad? Frank Ramos?
Ruben Ramos, he lived across the street from me, was from what I was told. That was my grandpa.
Your grandpa?
So I would be there every day. All the kids, that was us. Yeah.
And for the rest of you, Michelle actually grew up in this neighborhood as well, so yeah, welcome home.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to take part 2, and I am home. And I grew up over here. I grew up on Richmond, and we moved to Phillipsport off of Moyers. And now I live in Bella Vista, so I'm still a neighbor. So greetings, neighbor. My name is Michelle Milam, Crime Prevention Manager for the City of Richmond. I report to the Chief, and so I report to Chief Simmons, and I know Chief Simmons had been preparing all week for this, and so he obviously did not expect what we have experienced today. If you guys want more information, there's a press release that's out on the city website about what happened, and they're doing an investigation now. If you can, they'll try to pop in here tonight, but I would definitely suggest that he come back, because one of the things he told me was a top priority is exactly what Sergeant Ramos just talked about, is restoring the neighborhood beat officer system to the neighborhoods. For those of you who remember, like way back to the Magnus era and before, and Arto and I were talking about it, and Bill Broderick, it was very important to have a beat officer who you know. And so we are going to move back to a system of trying to keep beat officers connected to neighborhood councils, so you don't have to re-explain your issues to a new person. There still is going to be changeover, but we want to try to keep that continuity there. So it's somebody you know, somebody you're familiar with and connect with. A couple things I wanted to share with you tonight on some of the upcoming things that are happening with RPD, and it's just fortuitous that I happen to be working with Chief Simmons on, you know, some of his priorities, and I wanted to share a few with you, is staffing. As you heard Sergeant talk about, staffing is really premium right now for the Richmond Police Department. We went through a period, if you think back to, for those people who were around in 2008 and 2009, during the tenure of Chief Magnus, really trying to build up staffing within the Richmond Police Department. And if you were around during then, you remember that we did have a large number of homicides and violent crime were happening. It wasn't uncommon for us to have 47 in a single year. And so, you know, you can imagine our homicide detectives trying to respond to solving 47 homicides, and you can't kind of get one under the belt before another one occurred. We were fortunately able to kind of build a model that was recognized nationally by the Department of Justice, and we built up staffing to almost 200. I think we were actually authorized for over 200 officers at one point in time. And then 2020 happened, right? And we hit the pandemic. And there was a move in 2020 really to look at alternative responses to policing, which of course we do support. I am probably the social service part of RPD in some ways. Under crime prevention, I do neighborhood watch. We work with businesses, merchants, schools. We work with neighborhood councils. We work on community events. We do public education. And then I have a second hat. My second hat is we work with unhoused folks. So we've had a core social service team that has worked with the city for the last 8 years, servicing people who are unhoused and offering services before we do abatement. So we definitely support those kinds of models. But there was a question of, well, how do we allocate budget expenditures, and how do those change if we want to change our model? And if you listen to, there was a Zoom last night that I believe Councilmember Bonner held. One of the things that Chief French said as she was departing is the way that we went about that made it difficult for some officers to want to stay here. And so we saw an exodus of some of our officers. We also saw an exodus of people who wanted to go into law enforcement in general. We saw retirements happen. So our staffing shrank until one point, I think we were around maybe 100, right, sworn? That's half. just to put that in perspective. And so really what Chief Simmons wants to focus on moving forward is how do we rebuild the department? It takes a while to train a new police officer, to recruit and train someone and have them go through all of the process and to get them trained so they're ready to get out on the streets and actually answer your calls for service. And so one of the things that Chief Simmons is really focusing on is how can we bring lateral officers in who have experience, but also are connected to the community. We don't want anybody else's leftovers. We want people who really understand community policing. But we want people who have the skills that we can get up and running in the community a lot quicker through the process. So those are some of the things he's going to be focusing on, aggressively trying to recruit and retain and attract officers to the city so that we can, again, have that support. Now, people might ask, well, what does staffing have to do with community policing? Aren't these two things like polar opposites? And I would say, how can you have community policing if you have no police? You can't. What I do with crime prevention is work to build relationships with neighborhoods and their beat officer. Well, if we don't have enough officers to be able to come to your neighborhood meeting, if we don't have officers that can work with you on some of the things that you can do, if we don't have the kind of patrol that we need to kind of follow up on some of the issues that come up in this neighborhood, then we don't have community policing because we don't have the staffing. And so it's critical that we have that, that staffing that's available. So he's going to be working a lot on trying to make Richmond a full-service police department. The other thing that happened during the pandemic when we lost officers is that a lot of our specialty units, so things like narcotics, regulatory ended up going somewhere else. Units like property crimes that were kind of reduced and combined. Traffic unit was reduced. A lot of these things that are important to neighbors. Anybody not concerned about traffic? Everywhere I go, that's like the biggest issue in the city is like, what's going on with the traffic, near me? So all those things that are quality of life issues that make it safer and better for you to live in the neighborhood where you live and you invest and you pay taxes, those are the kinds of things that unfortunately kind of went away. And also we lost some units that dealt with investigative crimes. Well, it's one thing to have enough patrol officers to be able to respond to your calls for service. It's another thing to have somebody be able to investigate so they can solve those crimes, right? And work with the district attorney's office on things like human trafficking, robberies, burglaries, auto thefts, things that plague us all that we get concerned about. So building up that staffing is one of the #1 things that he has in addition to improving and advancing training. The other thing is quality of life. I think for those of us who live here, it's important to me when I drive down the street as a resident that works for the city is, if I see a mattress on the street, I'm going to report it. If I see that there's a tent or an encampment somewhere, I'm going to report it. Your president is great at calling me and say, hey, this is a problem, Michelle. Can you please have officers respond to X, Y, and Z because it's important. So we want to get back to those quality of life issues, and I think the last time I came here, I shared with you that we have a city attorney that's dedicated to quality of life issues, so nuisance houses. I can't say which one, but there's one in your area that they're working on, trying to handle with code enforcement. So these are some of the things we want to bring back, so we have extra tools. If there's that drug house, if there's that house that's always having the issues, that we can focus on some of those things and we can get some results for the neighbors about some of the concerns that people have. And we want to kind of address things early with the right combination of tools. The third thing that he really wanted us to focus on is understanding that public safety is a partnership. We don't have to be enemies, right, with social services. And I think that's the thing. It's like, well, either it's RPD or it's The Rock. I can tell you as somebody who has worked with the core team for the last 8 years and core services 1,400 people individually a year, every year in the city of Richmond who might be unhoused and need services. If you've never been to an encampment, you've never driven up, you've never talked to someone, you've never walked through the process of someone who might not have been housed for years, trying to get them to take shelter options, which they may or may not like, or figuring those things out. It takes a lot of work and effort to be able to do that. And I think we have to see public safety as a continuum, is that there will be calls that our community crisis response, our ROC team that's coming on board will take. There's going to be calls that CORE is going to take, and those are needed. There are going to be calls that we'll co-respond with. So like the mental health engagement team, we have an officer assigned as a collateral to that team. That is high-level calls that come in that don't go to A3 where, you know, we have mental health crises. We used to really fund that. We don't as much anymore. But those are co-responder models where an officer goes out with a clinician. And then there are calls that officers will take. So we want to do that, but we also want to have the resources to do investigation. So that's the quality of life pieces that we want to kind of focus on. Finally, I think we want to focus on, again, solving crime and increasing accountability, you know, to our residents. It's really important for him that there be follow-up for cases that are filed. I can tell you, you probably know, property crimes, if you're a property crime sergeant, what happens? You come in on Monday morning, what do you have? You have a whole stack of reports that are on your desk, right, that you have to go through. And being able to have that properly staffed so that, you know, someone is following up on your case is really important. And also the use of smart technology. So you probably heard recently that we suspended flock service, and the reason that that was suspended is because Chief Simmons discovered that there might have been a loophole in flock, and they were concerned about information being exposed. And so he took immediate action, and he said, I'm going to suspend our use of flock until we kind of figure this out with flock executives and make sure that the data for Richmond residents is protected and it's not shared in a way that would be detrimental to city policy or to our immigrant community. But flock is a very helpful tool as well. But we want to evaluate these kinds of technologies on a regular basis so that you're aware of what's going on. So I think those are some of the things that he'll probably talk more to you about. I don't want to steal his thunder on any of those things, but I just happen to be going over and taking notes as we work with him on some of these things, and he shared some of these things with us. I think you'll find as a new chief, he's going to be very accessible. He really wants to move us back to the community policing model. And, you know, it's going to be important for you to build a relationship, not just with him, but with Sergeant Ramos and your beat officer. Because, you know, at the end of the day, the chief is handling 15 different things. But, you know, who's responding to the calls for service? The chief's role is to be able to make sure there's enough staff to be able to respond to you and take care of the things that the neighborhood needs to have taken care of. So I definitely encourage you, once your beat officer is assigned, to get to know him or her. And I know Sergeant Ramos is a great sergeant. Even though he's a new sergeant, I've always enjoyed working with him. He's very conscientious. And so if you call him, he will respond and he will answer and follow up. And so that's all I got.
Thank you. I did want to mention, I'm the chair of the Richmond Neighborhood Coordinating Council. We have 33 neighborhood councils in the city of Richmond, and there's about 22, 24 that are active. I was on the committee that got to interview the applicants for the chief of police, and Tim Simmons won by a landslide. It was a no-brainer. I actually felt bad for the other applicants, but you know, it's what it is. But he did give us a presentation at the RNCC meeting a couple Mondays ago, and all the neighborhood councils were extremely enthusiastic with his presentation. And a lot of the stuff that Michelle just mentioned was mentioned, and including that there are 4 new lateral officers and 4 in the queue waiting to be trained and put out there. And one of the issues that I saw that is we used to have 200 officers, but we dipped under 100. And so we're RPD is clawing to get back, and they're working very hard to get services back up for the residents, and it's greatly appreciated because we need them. But in the interim, what has happened is that they've lost some investigative units, and I was wondering if you could talk about that.
Yes, we have lost some investigative units, and as I talked about, some of these units were collapsed, so do we have a traffic unit? Yes, but it's severely reduced from what we would need to be able to serve the public. Other things like narcotics, we used to have a special investigative unit that actually identified people who were involved in shootings and other things like that, so that we can culminate that with, investigations and work with other cities and other partners to really focus on the violent crime. We don't have that anymore. And part of the reason we don't have such units is because of staffing. We really had to make some decisions on how we did that. We felt it was important that when you call 911, somebody shows up. And so we did front load patrol, but there still is, a hole in investigations and following up on some of these crimes. Our investigators and detectives are very hardworking. They work hard to make sure that the crimes are resolved, but the crime keeps on happening and it's outpacing, the pace of the amount of staff that we have. So our goal is to get back to that. The chief is saying, I think 25 is his goal for this year, to try to bring in 25 new sworn officers. And so we're working with our personnel and training unit to try to make sure that that happens. But those investigative units, yes, did shrink or collapse, or some of them went away, or some of them were transferred. Like we used to have regulatory, and regulatory is now housed in code enforcement, so we don't do that anymore. But we still do services with code enforcement in the regulatory unit, and some of those things like smoke shops and tobacco retail ordinances, the things that people, are concerned about. So those are some of the things that have gone away, and we hope definitely to improve. Number one, I think, is traffic. We have to get back to the traffic unit. Unfortunately, one of our premier traffic officers who worked really hard had a fatal heart attack a couple months ago. And, we talked about this last night, it's a stressful thing, and when you lose one person to anything, to an injury, to whatever the situation might be, it makes it harder for us to be able to serve. So we're working really hard to try to rebuild that, and that's part of the chief's goal, is to get to that number of 25.
Thank you. Any questions?
I was gonna just add to that, when I first started here and I was upstairs as a detective, we had 45 detectives.
Yep.
Right now, I think we have 13 detectives. 14. So that shows you how much depleted our investigative unit is. We only have one dedicated traffic officer. When I was here, when we had those 45 detectives, there was 6 dedicated traffic officers, which did tickets all day long and then responded to basically serious crashes. So right now we only have one. That's all we have. So that just kind of shows you where we're at.
And you lost an officer to Hercules.
That's true.
Came back.
That's true.
That's true.
Good evening. Thank you, Michelle and Officer Ramos. Appreciate you. The name is Ahmad Anderson, and one of the things that I think is commendable amongst several is that, as you mentioned, the department's working with you, but being quite resourceful, if you will, thinking of other avenues not only to retain, but also bring in folks that are lateral, who have experience and have a relationship with the community. Seeing the both of you who are from this community is very encouraging. I guess the concern is that from the outside, and as we see it, there's been such an adversarial relationship with the council from defunding and not recognizing the importance of resources for the day-to-day, but the importance of social services. It seems that it needs to be a three-pronged approach. One, staffing measures need to be met to be able to address the day-to-day. As you just mentioned, Officer Ramos, the fact that your detectives that are not available to be able to find them, to follow up the crime. I'm proud to say that we've reduced our murders in our city, but the other issue that you mentioned continue. Something is, Mr. Gosney, said in response to you was, it's almost as it's business as usual, and we need to be able to address those as well. That impacts people coming here to live, living here, staying here, businesses, and the revenue we need. What can we do as a community to support that, to encourage the council to reach a level of balance to support us in our neighborhoods and be able to have you all respond to us when we need you?
Well, I always get in trouble because I am a little too honest, but that's the only way I can be. I'm my grandmother's child. So I can say, as residents, you have a right to share what your concerns and your priorities are with your council members. Budget time comes, people make decisions about what they're going to do, and it's important for you to call, to write, to show up to meetings, to advocate specifically, to whoever your representative is. You have council districts, so you have representatives, and share what your concerns are if that's something that concerns you. I think the other thing you said, Ahmad, that I think is really important is that we don't have to be adversarial. I'm a big believer that, it's better to have a win-win than a lose-lose.
Yeah.
And when we end up fighting amongst each other, this is nothing that I haven't shared with council members specifically or people in the community. Nobody wins out of that. I think if we look at public safety as a continuum, yeah, you need social services. Sometimes you're going to need somebody who's going to be able to sit there with somebody for an hour and talk to them, or a couple hours. Sometimes it takes 4 or 5 hours. You also need to be able to have a police department that can respond to neighborhood calls for service where police stalls are happening. And you need to be able to have an investigative unit that can follow up on those crimes. That's common sense public safety. We don't have to be at odds with one another. I think for that to work, it's a best practice model. It's worked in other places, and Richmond can lead the curve. So that would be my suggestion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions before we let our PD go? Oh, and by the way, if you have issues with the houseless or the homeless, however you like to refer to them, Michelle would be your contact person. So
I'm going to leave my cards or pass my cards around, so if anybody wants to, they can feel free to contact me. And email is always great, so thank you.
So how about a round of applause for both? Thank you. Thank you for coming. And wish Captain Lopez the best for us. We appreciate it. Thank you. So before I close this out, I think our treasurer would like to say a few words. Ms. Gaudette? She's busy over there. Would our treasurer like to come up and say a few words? Let me go ring her bell. Dolores, would you like to come up and... All right. Well, while she's trying to figure things out, I wanted to say I talked to Pastor Lauren. Oh, here she comes.
Okay, I just want to give a couple of people that want to be. I don't have it clamped down. Okay.
The whole meeting is waiting for your report.
Oh, it's going to be a quick report.
Okay.
Not that much money, so.
Yeah, we're
what
still in
can you say?
January. Here we go.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. My name is Dolores Goudet. I've been the treasurer for a lot of years, probably about 20 years, okay. The report I'm giving today is the activities from 2025. Our ending checking account balance as of December 31st of last year was $8,344.15. The dues we collected last year was $285. And for some of the people that are not aware, we do a cleanup. And when we do a cleanup, any kind of metal, Sims will add that up and send us a check. So that check was $188. And also, when we do a cleanup, we ask for donation. And last year, it totaled $364.25. So altogether, last year, $837.25. So that's $9,181.40. The checks that we've written out for like RNCC, for our any kind of like refreshments we have. And then also, we have a P.O. box, and that costs about $234. So all of that totals $471.54. So that reduced the total to $8,709.86. Last year, 2025, we had about 33 people that paid dues. And 2024 was about 48, and 2023, 37. And new people that have come here, there was 2 for last year. In 2024, it was 5, and then 2023, 3 people. So that concludes my report for last year, 2025. Thank you.
Thank you. And once again, we have a dues page. If you got your newsletter, if you are interested, the dues are voluntary. You don't have to pay, but it helps us with everything. And before we go, I was going to have Don say a few things, but I'd like to ask you, the RNCC, which is the Richmond Neighborhood Coordinating Council, they oversee our neighborhood. We oversee our neighborhood as well as 33 others. We're going to be celebrating and honoring 4 people for Black History Month. And I was going to ask if you guys would be interested in donating on behalf of the Fairmede Hilltop Neighborhood Council to the RNCC Black History Month celebration. These people that we're going to be honoring with proclamations, trophies, you name it. There'll be food there. Are Doris Mason from the Iron Triangle Neighborhood Council, J.C. Farr from East Shore Neighborhood Council, A.J. Jelani from Belding Woods Neighborhood Council, and then our 2-time mayor, 8-time city council member, Nat Bates. So you are all welcome to come February 9th, City Council Chambers. And I'm going to ask you with a raise of your hands if you would like us to donate $200 to help offset the cost of all the food and everything else. So would you guys be open to that? Raise your hand. Thank you. Thank you all. So Dolores, can we do that?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Once again, February 9th, which is a Monday night at 7 p.m., come down to the Richmond City Council chambers, and we'll be honoring these people.
The chambers or the auditorium?
Chambers.
Okay, you told me different. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
But it's not going to be a council meeting, right? It's just
No, we're going to start out with RNCC reports, and that'll be maybe 15 minutes. And after that, we're all going to step down and organize the chambers and start honoring these people. Congressman John Garamendi, his office is going to write a proclamation Supervisor John Joya's office will be presenting a proclamation. The mayor of Richmond, the city will be giving out a proclamation, and the RNCC, we will be giving out awards and a proclamation. So,
Is Nate gonna be there? Is Nate gonna be there?
Matt will be there, as long as he's breathing. He promised me. And I, these people are in their 90s. They're African-American leaders that have been in the city forever and have worked in neighborhood councils, and we feel that they deserve a pat on the back. And they're over the moon that somebody's actually recognizing them for all the volunteer work that they've done over the decades. So I'm really happy about this. It makes me feel good. So I hope you guys can share that and come down and feel good too.
Monday the 9th.
Monday the 9th, 7 p.m. And so moving on, I just was going to have Don briefly, capital B, mention the fact that we're going to be moving to a different type of elections. So for those of you that aren't aware, we're no longer doing elections as we used to. We're going to have a primary. And so Don, would you like to say a few words about that? Because Don here was the major proponent to this.
Thank you. And just so you know, my name is Don Gosney. I don't live in your neighborhood. I live in East Richmond. But my very good friend, Arto Rinteela, asked me to help with the newsletters. He asked me for this and stuff. But also, just so you know, that not only did he ask you for a raise of hands, he hit me up through my union. I just got the notification, a check for $250 that I'll be given for that event. As he said, here in Richmond, many people had a problem with the way we elected our mayor and city council members. It was like, run one candidate and invite everybody else to run to split the vote. Having a mayor get elected with only 32% of the vote is not exactly a mandate. So through the ballot measure, we gathered over 15,000 signatures at great expense, by the way. It was like a rip-off on that. But anyway, put it on the ballot last November. Measure J beat out ranked choice on there. So starting this June 2nd election, the city of Richmond will have what's essentially a primary election. It's the same way we elect everything from county supervisor all the way up to the United States senators in California. If you get 50% plus one of the vote, you're automatically elected. If nobody gets 50% plus one, then you have the top two, then move on to the November election. Okay? There are pros and cons to all systems, but we believe that this will be a fairer system to get a representative both as a mayor and as city council members that represent the community better than what we have in the past. This year, the mayor is up for election, and 3 of the council members are up for election, including Councilmember Sahela Bana, who is represented by the voters in this district. We do not yet know who is going to be running. The filing period does not start until the 6th of February and goes through the 9th of March. It's not until they close the doors on the 9th of March that we know who is actually running. A lot of people wait till the last second. You also have this year election for some school board members, including the one that represents this area. That election does not fall into June. That is a November election. We have the current school board member has announced that he is running for the county superintendent of schools. His term was up anyway. So he's not up for re-election, but you've got at least one person that says that she is running. But we need to wait until the filing period ends. Unfortunately, for the school board, it does not end until the first week of August. But if you got people that think they can do a good job on the school board, invite them to run. For the city council, invite them to run. Now, the B with a brief with a capital B is over.
Here comes the human book. And by the way, I also am on the board of directors for West County Wastewater, so I will be running again. I know it's a shameless plug, but if you see my name on the ballot, feel free to check it out. Just say, oh, and we have a candidate in the audience that's running for mayor, Ahmad Anderson. So,
Good evening, folks. Ahmad Anderson, running for mayor.
So do your homework. pick your favorite candidate and, let's make this happen and have a great election year.
Hold them accountable.
Yeah, hold them accountable, there you go. And before we let you go, I wanted to mention that I spoke to Pastor Lauren. We're hoping to have a career fair here sometime this year, probably in the summer. And then we're also going to start looking at having a candidates forum. So all of the candidates for city council and possibly the mayor, we will try and hold a forum up here. And you guys are all welcome. And we will announce it in the newsletter. And if you don't happen to see it, I hope you've signed in so we can pass these numbers on and get you in the robocall system to remind you that we're having meetings. So with that, I want to thank you and I hope we have a great 2026. And thanks again for coming.